News has there are reports of an explosion at the Kabul airport. The Pentagon has confirmed that there has been an explosion outside the Kabul airport, where thousands have gathered to try to flee Afghanistan. It is not yet clear whether there have been casualties. There are reports of an explosion which the Pentagon has confirmed outside the Kabul airport, and earlier the US, Australia and the UK had issued a warning that there was a high threat of a terrorist attack at the Kabul airport, and they had earlier advised their citizens to not to travel towards the airport. And for more on this, we have with us our correspondent from Kabul, Sumaira Khan. Sumaira, so there are reports of a blast outside Kabul airport hours after the US and the Western nations warned of a possible attack. What are the details?
Jawad, there was an indication last night, and I also tweeted about that last night, that there is a potential threat of any kind of attack and out of any gate of Kabul International Airport, but the chances were most pertinent to any military side, because Kabul International Airport has two heavily militarily guarded gates. One is Abbey and one is North. So right now, as expected, it was basically the threat alert was issued by State Department last night, aimed at informing and alerting their own U.S. citizens. But today we witnessed around 6,000 Afghans were gathered over there. And before that blast took place, we heard their indiscriminate firing incident, where we had information of injuries as well. So right after those rounds of firing, we heard a huge blast, because I was coming back from that area, from Abbey Gate, because I was there for a while, but I could not see a passage to get any closer to the gate. So I decided to come back. But the moment I was hardly a square away from the site, we heard a huge blast. And it is being believed, and the reports are suggesting that it was a suicidal bomb. It was a suicidal blast, and a suicide bomber. He detonated himself amongst the people who were gathered over there, and we are fearing casualties.
Okay, so Sumaira, as you just told that you were over there at one of those gates, and after you left, right after that time, you heard a huge explosion as well. But we saw that the Western nations warning their citizens beforehand that there is a high threat of a possible terrorist attack over there at the Kabul airport. So what scenes did you see after that warning to the people who were already gathered at the airport?
I cannot say anything about that right now, because, as I said, I was a square away from the site.
Sumaira, I'm asking about what happened after the warning that was delivered by the Western powers to their citizens. Was the number who were already gathered over there at the airport, was that reduced after that warning?
No, not at all. And I would rather say that it's kind of very unfortunate that despite the warning, I think maybe it's the Americans that they did not approach the gates. But it was the least number that me and my fellow colleagues who are right now reporting from Afghanistan, it was the minimum number that we usually see on daily basis around all the gates of Kabul International Airport. And if the number is 6,000, and according to us, it's the minimum right now. So you can imagine that on daily basis, what is the greatest number, those who are seeking an opportunity to get into the airport. But I can imagine I'm going back to the blast site, but the whole Kabul is right now experiencing a terrible traffic jam. So we have to be very careful, and now we are getting another route to reach the blast site at Abbey Gate of Kabul International Airport.
Sumaira, we can understand that you are heading backward towards where you were already before the explosion was heard, and you just mentioned right now that there happens to be a terrible traffic jam. Of course, it is going to cause difficulties in case of casualties are reported from there. So there would be difficulty for the ambulances and the paramedical staff in reaching there.
Yes, I can hear the sirens wailing towards the Abbey Gate, but since it's a very congested city, Kabul is always experiencing terrible traffic jams, even in the peaceful times. So right now, an emergency kind of situation has been imposed. The area has been cordoned off. Police and whatever kind of security is available right now, they are rushing towards the site. But we are getting reports that another suicide attacks is also being sensed over there. So we will try to grab a portion where we can safely report from the area. So just let me reach over there, and I can then give you all the visuals.
Sumaira,
and
thank you very much for the updates. We'll continue to take those updates, and we hope that you stay safe over there. And we really hope that it doesn't happen to be the situation where we have to see a lot of casualties. For now, for our viewers, we are updating you that a huge explosion is being reported outside the Kabul airport, where a lot of people, including the foreigners as well as the Afghans who want to get evacuated after the Kabul takeover by the Taliban, were gathered over there. The Pentagon has confirmed that an explosion was heard outside the Kabul airport, and there were earlier warnings by the US, Australia, the UK towards their citizens, and they had advised them not to travel towards the airport, and also advised those citizens who were already present at the airport to go away, because there was a high threat of a terrorist attack at the airport. So reports of an explosion are pouring in from the Kabul airport, and the Pentagon has confirmed a huge explosion has been heard outside the Kabul airport. And earlier there were warnings by the US, Australia, and the UK for their citizens not to travel to the Kabul airport. And our correspondent Sumaira Khan is in Kabul. She was updating us regarding the current situation as to what is happening over there. And as soon as she reaches near the gates of the Kabul airport, we'll definitely keep on updating you regarding the situation that is unfolding in and around the Kabul airport. That was the latest from Indus News.